I'm going to share a little bit about the power of your voice in today's world, hopefully with the objective to inspire you to use your voice to another degree, whether you are working in corporate or as an entrepreneur. Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, he was on a podcast recently, and this lady asked him, who is the smartest person you ever met? And his response was, I don't know if I can answer that question. Because when you think of someone that's smart, you might think, oh, someone that's intelligent, someone that can solve problems, someone that's technical. But that might not be the case now. He also says, I find that this is a commodity. And then he continues by saying, everyone thought that software programming is the ultimate smart profession. But look at what's the first thing that AI is solving. It turns out that the definition of smart is different from what people think. A guy with net worth of 162.9 billion said this. So with that, I'm curious to know, what do you think makes someone smart?
I think it's asking the right questions and solving the right problems.
I love that. Exactly, which is why I think this question is wrong. We shouldn't be asking why someone's smart, but what makes us one of a kind? What makes us unique? What makes us irreplaceable? What is something that we as humans can do that can't be taken over by AI? How can we leverage AI and tech to actually make us even more human? This is the question that I really want to be asking. So actually, I'll ask you guys this question. What do you think makes someone irreplaceable? And I don't want you to answer with your brain. I actually want you to think about someone in your life that is irreplaceable and think about what makes them irreplaceable to you.
I think the care this person has for the people around them.
The care this person has for the people around them, the relationships they have, their spirit, their character, because not everybody chooses to care. We want to think about what makes us one of a kind, because we know that AI and tech will make some aspects of service heavily commoditized. Like we have Cleve over here, which is brilliant. We use the thing that, how will we create content? Guys, with Cleve, you can create it. I'm selling you guys for you. With Cleve, you can create it so well. You just input your content in there and then it learns your voice and it gives you ideas for your next post. And we have AI for therapy, right? We have AI to build websites. We have AI to build even an accountability buddy that you used to need a human for that. So a lot of these things can now be taken over by AI and tech. But the thing is, this actually gives us some opportunity to get curious as to how we can level up our humanity and improve the parts that make us human to make it even more valuable in the market. So with AI and tech, standards will rise. People will pay. They will pay for humans still, but they will pay for things that only humans can do. And that is connect. Right? This is my recent bootcamp that I did. Connection, the conversations you have that nobody else outside this room will know this conversation exists. It's also deep knowledge and stories and genuine wisdom backed by life experiences. These two pictures over here is from a recent retreat that Nicole and I both went through. It's 2 hours from Cameron, and it was in this beautiful forest called the Mossy Forest. And this guy over here is one of the guides, and he was just sharing from his head about his experiences connecting with this forest, which is 130 million years old. And then we go back, and after we're having lunch, his girlfriend was just sharing about the different natural products and plant oils and things like that he use for skincare. And it reminds me almost of back in the day when maybe you ask your grandmother, oh my gosh, I'm having stomach pain, can you help me? And they just go into their secret medicine box or, and they just make something and they give it to you. And you can't ask them for the recipe because it doesn't exist, it's in their head. It is deep knowledge and genuine wisdom backed by life experiences and shaped by culture and history. This is what AI and tech cannot replace. It is what we've been through. It is the stories that are passed on from our ancestors. It is how we feel in a forest, how we feel with people. This is what only humans can experience. TLDR, the more human you are, the more valuable you are in the market. And I want to make sure that you know there's a difference between being inherently valuable and the value we have in the market. Each and every one of us here were inherently valuable. Even if we do nothing. As a human being, you're valuable. You're valuable simply by existing. But in the market is how people place their value on you. It is the unfortunate fact, but they will pay for what they see as more valuable. So what makes you more valuable is how you can really leverage on your humanity, how you can use the skills that AI and tech cannot do and replace you for. So how do we do it? Let's dive in. I'm going to share with you 3 observations that I've made that will help you leverage the power of your voice in an AI and tech dominant world, okay? And if you feel like anything resonates, you can like nod, right? And you're like, oh yeah, I see this happening, you can nod, so I know that we're on the right page. And later, if you want to disagree, feel free to, because I love disagreement. Okay, so back then, the more content we have, the better. People who get the most attention are usually the first movers, the ones who started YouTube early, the ones who create the most content, the ones that are more consistent. And we prioritize knowledge, information, in-depth content. I mean, I was having this conversation with Ashwin, right, you over Zoom some time ago. But now in an AI and tech dominant world, people are tired. They're drained. They don't need more content. They're overstimulated. And we can get in-depth info with a click of a button. You want content ideas? Go to Cleave, right? Lots of content ideas. Don't need to come from your head. But this is where we have an opportunity. And the opportunity is to speak with specificity and nuance. What does that mean? Because audience members, they are too overwhelmed by content. What they're looking for is context. I have so much content, but what do I do with this? I have so much content, but I use it and it doesn't work. So how? Right? Or if you're working in corporate, there's so much, but your ability to connect the dots and pick out what's important, package it in a way that your supervisor or your boss or your client can take in and remember, that is something that a human can do, because you are the human with the relationship with that person who understand how this person feels and thinks. ChatGPT gives us convenience, but it overlooks complexity. And humans are complex, right? I mean, anybody who has been in a relationship knows this. You go on YouTube and you find some advice on relationships and you try to make it work with your partner and then it doesn't work. Then why? Because the person is different, right? They're just different. Relationships, humans are complex. But that is where we need to come in to be able to connect the dots through different concepts, to remember the experience we have with this person and then mold things or the solution accordingly. To ask powerful questions so that we can problem solve through the questions and not go on AI and ask like how to solve this problem, but actually talk to the person. And if you're someone that wants to build a personal brand, it is building a body of work, your own medicine cabinet, your own, bunch of stories that back up what you say. This is a distinct point of view shaped over time. So anybody that's working in, especially in the service-based industry, what is your unique take in your industry? What is your unique point of view? We're not looking for your knowledge or what you know about the topic anymore, but rather what's your opinion on what you know. I want to present this question to you. You can take it down and go home and think about it. What's your unique point of view? Right? How can you truly understand your audience, not just demographic or psychographics, but how can you actually build a relationship with them so that you know how they feel and think before they even tell you? So that when you write content, when you write to them, when you speak to them, they're thinking, wow, how did she know? That's when you really get to them. Next part, number 2. In the past, I probably would suck in a world like this. More credentials, an older person, someone with position and results equals respect. Right? We have told since young, listen to your elders. As a kid, you can be seen but not heard. Anybody heard this before? Like a very common saying, right? Like, don't talk so much, listen to your elders, they are correct. Right? Or even if they're wrong, don't say anything. And then as we go into the social media age, we realize, oh wow, actually younger people are very powerful because if they have a lot of followers and they're able to capture attention, they hold the power. No longer the people who don't know how to use social media, usually the older people, usually. These 2 things are not true anymore because right now in the AI and tech dominant world, success definitions are changing. Attention span is low. People no longer respect you just because you have credentials or a degree or a PhD. They no longer respect you just for that. I mean, we have heard from even Renee's conversation, a lot of these research could be fake. So we are more skeptical people, but our body knows. Our body knows when the energy is off. I mean, have you ever had someone walk into the room and then you just say, wait, this is a bit weird. Like, this guy is weird, or this girl is weird. Or you walk into a space and you're like, wait, the energy is a bit weird. I should leave, right? We were just talking about that, Nicole, yesterday. She walked into this bar, and the moment she entered, she was like, okay, this feels weird, I'm gonna leave. And there's no specific concrete reason why. It's just maybe her body just felt danger. right? So our body has wisdom. And this is where your opportunity is to lead with intuitive guidance. Intuition to lead the room with your energy. Intuition to know what to do when something doesn't go according to plan, right? Like you can have a plan as to how to talk to your investor. You can have a plan as to how to talk to your boss or your partner. But if things don't go according to plan, are you going to say, wait, pause, let me go and check AI and then come back? No, you have to have that trust with your voice. So how can you trust your voice so that you can be intuitively guided to know how to lead, how to coach? This is especially important for leaders in the workplace. You'll realize that the leaders that people respect the most are the ones who don't have not necessarily the most experience or knowledge, but the ones with the most wisdom. And wisdom is backed by trust. It's I trust my inner wisdom. So how can you build that relationship with your inner wisdom? I don't know about you, but for me, most of the time, I would choose mentors and coaches that I just want to work with because I want to work with them. And I would then create logical reasons as to why this person is the best. But it's actually because I vibe with them, right? And you agree, right? Because people connect with people who lead with their energy. And we choose people who we resonate with in terms of values and energy. So your energy matters, your presence matters, right? Which is why we talked about presence as well. Okay, so that is your opportunity. The question you want to ask yourself is, how can you create opportunities to trust your intuition? Which in this world, there are not many opportunities because everything is so planned. Like we have our Google Calendar back to back, right? There's almost no time to just sit and stare at the wall and let that be a productive task. But actually, it's these moments of inefficiency and these moments of silence that creates the best ideas. Who's the guy who found gravity? Like if he didn't sit under that tree and the apple didn't fall, yeah, but we need those moments to sleep under the tree, right? To trust your intuition. Maybe the first step is when you're asked the question, instead of Googling it right away, maybe ask yourself, what do you think first? Okay, number 3, last but not least, this is my final point. We are moving from being sales and product-led to very much community-led. Right, you'll realize that in the past, there is no way that a consumer can check whether the thing that they're buying is a good price or not, because there's no internet. So they have to go to that Harvey Norman salesperson and get all the information from that salesperson. And that's why it was very sales-led, right? And then we moved to being very product-led. Apple is a very good example. Steve Jobs became famous because his product, the iPhone, or maybe it was even before that, like the Macintosh, whatever. I'm too long ago. But basically, he made waves in the industry, and his personal brand was built off that, right? But nowadays, we are moving away from being product-led. I mean, we can take a look at EV cars. Like Tesla was really popular, and then now so many China brands are making that EV car even faster, cheaper, and people who used to be fans of products, maybe they require a community to have memories more. I think a good example would be Notion. So they weren't a very successful company, but then one day someone created a community and then they suddenly blew up, right? So that's an example. We're moving towards being community-led. We need memories, we need community. So back then, as I mentioned, it's sales-led and product-led. Now in an AI and tech-dominant world where products and sales are in excess and people can compare prices, what really makes you stand out as a person would be having a community, your ability in building relationships. People choose leaders who they energetically resonate with, and ultimately having an offline community. So this is where your opportunity comes in. Whether you're running your own business or you are working in a company, how can you shine with a magnetic brand and culture? This even works in the corporate environment. I was at a panel and I asked this question to this CEO of a really huge telco company. Right? So I asked him, look, I work with people who are maybe middle managers or rising leaders in MNCs. And they want to create change, but sometimes they feel stuck because there's red tape and the culture is set already. And they feel demotivated because they don't know how they can create change when that happens. So I asked him, what is your advice to these rising leaders? And then his response to me was, do what you can with the power you have and make so much waves that people can't help but notice. And that is something that my friend, who is the regional marketing head of Shopee, actually did, right? She has limited power, but she has built such deep relationships with her teams all across the APAC region, even people that don't share the same language as her. And it's something super simple like learning what they like, what is trendy for them. And when she goes and visits, she buys that trendy snack. It's something super simple like that, right? It's doing these little things that helps you scale with that magnetic presence. Your culture, the world that you create, your name has a reputation. When someone says, oh, I love Andrew Tate's content, we have a certain impression of them. When someone says, oh, I love Taylor Swift, we have a certain impression of them. If someone says, oh, I love Brené Brown, we have a certain impression of them. The question you want to ask yourself is, what impression does people have when they say your name? Like if someone says, oh, I know Ashwin too, like what impression comes to mind? You want to think about that. Okay, I have the final question over here. What is the culture and appropriate practices of your world? What is the culture of your world? What is allowed, what is not allowed? What is cool, what is not cool? What is appropriate, what is not appropriate? Is crossing boundaries appropriate? If you're always OTing even though you don't want to, that means you're living in someone else's world. I'm not saying that it's a perfect world where we can just quit our jobs. That's not true. But you want to actively think about how you are living in your own world and not, live in other people's world. Right? So this is something you want to think about. So I think that's the end of my mini presentation. And the final question that I want to present to you is, how can you be more human today? Even if it's just one tiny thing, think about how you can be more human today and start doing it. And that's how you can own your voice and the power of your voice in an AI and tech dominant world. Thank you. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk.